Okay, on to our last example for combining like terms equations. So I'll just remind you one more time for the third time that a like term is any term that has the same variable to the same power. So let's look at our equation. We've got negative 4n minus 8n plus 17 is equal to 23. So I'm going to start off by drawing my wall because everything has to stay balanced. And now I want to look at my terms. So my first term, negative 4n, has an n to the first power. So I'm going to shape code this using a circle. Notice that I include the negative sign because that is part of the term. The next term we've got is a negative 8n, which also has an n to the first power. So I'm going to, including the negative sign, give that a circle also. Positive 17 does not have an n to the first power, so I'm going to change its shape and the color. And then 23 does not have an n, so that's a constant. I'm also going to go ahead and box the constant in. So on my left side, I can see that I've got two variables that I can combine, two terms, I should say, that I can combine. This negative 4n plus negative 8n. So they're both negative, so I'm going to add those together, which gives me 12. And they're both negative, so I'm going to keep it negative. And then they both have the n, so I got to keep the n also. So I'm going to turn that into negative 12n. I'm going to bring down my positive 17, my equal sign, and my positive 23. So now I want to isolate this variable n. So I'm trying to get him all by himself. So the first thing I can do, the negative 12 is still connected to him, but this positive 17 I can get rid of pretty easily by subtracting 17. The opposite of plus 17 is minus 17. But if I do this on one side, I have to also do that on the other side. So that 23 is going to have to be subtracted by 17. So that cancels out this 17 term. But I'm still left with my negative 12n. And we need to now simplify positive. This is a positive 23 minus 17, so we're going to subtract. So that gives me 6. Because 23 is larger, we're going to keep it a positive 6. Now I'm still trying to isolate my variable n, but there's a hidden operation next to it. It says that it's being multiplied times negative 12. So I need to get rid of times negative 12. And the way that I do that would be by using the inverse or the opposite operation, which is to divide by negative 12. And if I'm doing that on one side, I have to do it on the other. So good news, that cancels out. But on the other side, we need to simplify. We've now got a 6 over divided by negative 12. Well, this is going to give us a number that is smaller than 1. This is actually going to be a fraction because 12 is bigger than 6. So I know that a positive on top and a negative on the bottom is going to make a negative fraction, so I'm just going to call this negative. And now I can just look at the number 6 over 12. Well, both of these are divisible by 6. So if I divide both of those by 6, I get 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So I get n is equal to negative 1 over 2, or negative 1/2. So we're going to go back and check this, but this one's going to be kind of tricky because we've got to put in a negative 1/2 wherever we see our n term. I'm going to rewrite our equation. 4 times n, oh, that's negative 4n. How about I keep my negative? Minus 8n plus 17 is equal to 23. And remember, whenever we see an n, we're going to instead write negative 1/2. I'm going to do negative 4 times negative 1/2 minus 8 times negative 1/2 plus 17. Is that equal to 23? mark. So half of 4 would be 2, and a negative divided by a negative makes a positive. So we get positive 2, and then half of 8 would be 4, and a negative times a negative makes a positive, so this would be plus 4. Have to bring down our plus 17 and our 23. So simplifying, let's do 2 plus 4 first. We get 6. Bring down 17. Is that equal to 23? And even if you need to use your fingers, we're going to combine 6 plus 17. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That equals 23. Does that equal 23? Yes, it does. So our answer, n equals -1/2, was correct.